Good evening, folks. Thanks so much for joining us here for Live Impact News. I'm Vanessa Ruffes. We'll be together for the next couple of hours. And of course, a big topic we'll be following throughout our portion here of Live Impact and in our newscast to come tonight at 11 here on WCNC Plus is the impending government shutdown. As it stands, we're about 5 hours away from the federal government shutting down if Congress does not come to an agreement on a spending plan. Recapping how we got to this point, at this hour, we're seeing a Republican plan that is on the table. It would temporarily fund the federal government just for a period of several weeks, and then Democrats at this point holding out. They say they want some concessions here, saying that they weren't negotiated with to begin with for the Republican plan, and particularly we see the Democrats speaking on their desires to see affordable health care being placed in some sort of measure that would be passed. So essentially a stalemate. Yesterday, we had congressional leaders meeting with the president in order to come to an agreement or kind of make some headway, but seemingly all parties coming out of that meeting late yesterday afternoon pessimistic. In fact, the Vice President, J.D. Vance, said that he seemed like we were likely to see a shutdown tonight. Deadline, of course, as we mentioned, 12:01 Wednesday. So that's early in the morning. Essentially midnight is when this deal needs to be done. And all sorts of folks are watching very intently to see what plays out. In fact, just within the last several minutes, we've seen reporting that a group of top CEOs has sent a letter urging the Congress men and women to do what they need to do to avoid a federal shutdown, saying that it would create uncertainty, it would disrupt critical services and harm American businesses, workers, and families. The board of this particular business roundtable that sent that letter to Congress tonight, including Apple CEO Tim Cook, JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon, General Motors CEO Marty Barra, and Walmart CEO Doug McMillon. In the Carolinas, of course, there could be various impacts, and one of the ones that we wanted to talk about tonight, the potential impacts to national parks. Of course, a lot would be up in the air, but considering the fact that tourism is largely driven in Western North Carolina by the outdoor scene, if you will, this is something that is certainly catching the ear of folks in that area. In fact, we're joining now with Jesse Pope, who's the president and CEO of the Grandfather Mountain Stewardship Foundation. Jesse, thanks so much for joining us here tonight on Live Impact.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine y'all over at Grandfather Mountain are watching the potential impacts of this federal shutdown. Of course, worth noting that y'all are your own nonprofit entity. Grandfather Mountain State Park is obviously, as the name alludes to, a state park, but really the outdoor scene is interwoven very intimately with the national park system there in Western North Carolina. What are y'all potentially preparing for with a government shutdown?
Well, obviously, the Blue Ridge Parkway is very important to travel and tourism in Western North Carolina. At Grandfather Mountain, the nearest entrance to the park from where we are sees about 2 million vehicles passing by the Grandfather Mountain on the Blue Ridge Parkway. So they're a very important neighbor to us, certainly. They bring a lot of visitors to our park and really to all the gateway communities in Western North Carolina. Certainly having a government shutdown as fall color is literally upon us here in October. The next 2 or 3 weeks, we expect to see tens of thousands of visitors in our community coming to visit. So would be a big negative impact with a government shutdown and the potential closing of the Blue Ridge Parkway around Grandfather Mountain in Western North Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, we just literally came off, several days of coverage of the 1-year anniversary of Helene. A lot of the messaging up from the high country was, y'all saying we're open for business. We've done a lot of hard work to get things largely restored so that visitors can come and enjoy. A lot of businesses are hoping for people to come and spend money up there. Have you been in contact at all with, Congress people, leaders of various sorts to kind of see, hey, how could this possibly impact us? What could close? What are y'all, I guess, talking about and trying to do as far as the information gathering aspect of this?
Sure. And to your point, we've been advocating all summer for keeping the Blue Ridge Parkway open and getting the Blue Ridge Parkway open. Obviously, there's a lot of various moving parts with impacts from Hurricane Helene. There's also been ongoing maintenance projects related to the Great American Outdoors Act. And so there's been several moving parts, but we were all very hopeful for a vibrant fall color and also for a lot of visitors coming to our area. So the impacts of the Blue Ridge Parkway being closed, certainly a challenge here. We have not heard any real indications as to whether what a shutdown is going to look like on the Blue Ridge Parkway. It's been handled in several different ways. Sometimes the gates are open, sometimes the gates are closed, and there's not really an indication yet what will happen after midnight tonight if a deal's not reached. And we have certainly been calling our representatives, our federal legislators, to let them know what those impacts would be on our business and on visitation here in Avery and Watauga counties around Grandfather Mountain. Certainly will have negative impacts to visitation for sure. And those conversations, they certainly are, everyone seems to be sympathetic to what Western North Carolina has been through. And I think nobody really wants to have a negative impact. We have not really heard clear indications one way or another. Of course, those conversations are still happening in Washington, D.C. that we're obviously not privy to. But, we're watching it closely. It will have impacts on us, and we'll have to react accordingly. We'll be following it closely tonight. We'll be looking for any indications as to how the Blue Ridge Parkway will be reacting to the closure as well, which likely will come from the Department of the Interior. And, obviously political decisions will drive how we react, how the Blue Ridge Parkway reacts to the closure.
What is the sentiment tonight, amongst your colleagues and yourself, and how you're feeling, just knowing all that y'all have been through over the last year, and now, potentially another obstacle here? I mean, it has to be frustrating. There's some heartbreak with it for sure. Losing last October and July are our two busiest attendance months of the year. And as a nonprofit organization, we really receive our funding based on people coming to see us. The visitors that come to our park are who pay the bills and pay the staff. And so we had a huge impact last year. Hurricane Helene, just from business loss, we had about a $3.2 million business loss last year. And we were really hopeful this fall would be a turning point for us to turn the corner. Unfortunately, looks like we're going to have some more impacts we'll have to navigate. And, we'll be making plans to help our visitors understand that you can still get to Grandfather Mountain. Grandfather Mountain is open for business, and there's other ways, of course, to get here. But not having the Blue Ridge Parkway will impact travel. It'll increase to the congestion in Western North Carolina on a variety of roads, certainly. But, we still want people to come. We need the visitors. So, maybe the most important message that I would love for everyone to hear is please still come. Even if the parkway is closed, these businesses in Western North Carolina still need you to come visit and support us. We're all struggling. Business has not recovered post-Helene, even in our area. Grandfather Mountain, we're down about 17% this year in visitation. So we would love for folks to come visit us in Western North Carolina, despite the shutdown. I guess on that note, is there any messaging that you'd like to share with folks as far as how they can best support you? Obviously, you mentioned the visiting aspect. Are there any sort of funds that people can donate to as well, or, just any other ways that people can help out if by chance they can't visit in the next couple of weeks?
Absolutely. You can make a charitable donation to the park. We would certainly appreciate that. Would be a big help for us. Also consider membership to Grandfather Mountain. If you can't come now, think about buying a Bridge Club membership, which gets you year-round access to the park. Memberships are another way that we can sustain the park. So thank you for that opportunity to share that.
I got to say, one of my favorite regular press releases that we get is from Grandfather Mountain, and it's the fall color report. And I noticed that within recent days, y'all started putting out some of your first color reports. And I think today's, or the most recent one, was from the Forrest Gump curve. And I think it sets the table so marvelously for what folks can expect when they go up to the high country and specifically to your neck of the woods. I mean, what is it looking like as far as fall color over at Grandfather Mountain?
I wish you could see behind me right now. It's a little dark, but the colors are popping outside my window. I'm at my house right now, and colors are starting to pop. Grandfather is beautiful right now. The next couple of weeks up there are going to be great. And we're pretty hopeful for a nice fall color, starting to have some cooler nights, and the weather is really cooperating. We dodged the hurricane bullet this last week, so we're still hopeful for a really nice fall color up here. So yeah, stay tuned. The next couple of weeks are going to be really gorgeous. You'll see those magazine quality shots, and you can come take your own picture, because it is absolutely stunning when you come to the park and see it at the peak of fall color.
Yeah, I mean, I was up there last week, along with a lot of my other colleagues, including my co-anchor Colin Mayfield and Brad Panovich, and I think all of us enjoyed our time up in the high country, just kind of getting a little bit of a taste of fall, and it got us really excited, I think, for the season ahead. So I hope it is a successful season for y'all. Is there anything that you'd like to leave our viewers with before we wrap things up, either on the topic of the government shutdown or anything Helene related, or just anything in general that you'd like to share?
I just appreciate the opportunity to be here with you all tonight, and thank you for sharing Brad with us too on our Grandfather Presents last week. It was a great event where we really looked at what we learned from Hurricane Helene. There's a lot of great lessons and a lot of silver linings, I think. And Grandfather Mountain is an excellent place to visit. Both Grandfather Mountain State Park, the attraction at Grandfather Mountain Stewardship Foundation's park, two wonderful parks. The Blue Ridge Parkway, of course, runs around the edge of the mountain. And as most visitors don't really see property boundaries, they just come to Grandfather Mountain, and we love that. That's great. We love our friends on the Blue Ridge Parkway. Certainly my heart goes out to all the staff there, and just everything that they're navigating with the government shutdown too. But great place to visit. We hope folks will come and just enjoy Grandfather Mountain, enjoy it for what it is, and especially this time of year, this wonderful season we're moving into.
Yeah, I mean, I love it for the scenery and the fall feels, but I got to say, particularly, it can be pretty heavy to be on a phone scroll right now, if you know what I mean. So sometimes it helps to get to the mountains, folks. So I'll just say that.
Absolutely, and it's amazing running a nature park. You never expect to be on an interview talking about government shutdowns, but it affects everything. It affects parks. It affects all the things. So, thanks for the opportunity to talk about it. And let's get outside and enjoy the natural beauty and the natural world, and set the phone aside for a few minutes every day at least.
Yeah, well said. Well, we'll love to have you back anytime you'd like to join us. Jesse Pope, President and CEO of Grandfather Mountain Stewardship Foundation. Appreciate your time and joining us here on Live Impact.
Thank you for having me.
All right, take care.